Question 10 is a detail question, but more importantly, this is a structure of a passage we see really often on the SAT. This is what I call our traditionally but recently passage. I'll explain what that means. So the passage begins by saying for many years. So traditionally, we used to think that the only existing fossil evidence came from 4 species living on the paleocontinent of Laurussia. So that's what we used to think. But now we know through this recent discovery by this paleontologist that we have fossilized remains of a new species that lived over 400 million years ago on the paleocontinent of Gondwana. So they live on a different continent or a different geographic area entirely. So this type of passage wants to say, hey, we used to think this was true, but now we have this new discovery and now we know this is true. So this is a kind of passage we see really often in the SAT. So when you see a passage using a transition like for many years or usually, traditionally, conventionally, if we see any of these words, we know that this is likely one of this structure type. And just knowing that makes us a little faster while reading these passages and helps us identify and eliminate answer choices. Because now I know that what we want to say is that we now know the significance of this discovery is that we know that they lived in this other place. And so that's why the correct answer to this question is that the fossil is the first evidence that they existed outside of Laurussia and they actually existed in Gondwana. So D is the correct answer. Answer choice A says that this fossil is the first evidence that mixopterids lived more than 400 million years ago. Well, we're not really talking about time. We're talking about where the fossils were. So 400 million years ago this is not the first discovery. It could be, but that's not discussed in the passage, whether it's the first discovery that of this fossil from 400 million years ago. Answer choice B says that the fossil helps establish that mixopterids are more closely related to modern arachnids. First of all, we're not talking about modern arachnids, and we're not talking about if they're more or less related to certain species. So for that reason, B is incorrect. Answer choice C says it helps establish a more accurate timeline of the evolution of mixopterids on the paleocontinents of Laurussia and Gondwana. Well, we're not talking about the evolution because we're not looking at how those things have been changing. We're just saying, hey, this is one fossil evidence that I found of this group in this area. So we're not talking about how those groups have been changing on Gondwana. We just know that they were on Gondwana. So for those reasons, A, B, C are incorrect, and D is the correct answer.